Jamal Shead, scouting report. Tough player. I feel like I'm already revealing answers that are going to come later this video, but Houston was one of the best teams in the country. Jamal Shead was arguably their best player, their leader, unquestionably. He went down with a devastating injury in the NCAA tournament game that Houston ended up losing in the Sweet 16. But had that not happened, man, there was a good chance we could have seen this team all the way in the national championship game. The question is, how will Jamal Shead's toughness and defense and passing translate to the NBA in a league where he would be very, very small for his position as a point guard in the league? But Brian Ralph is a big fan of this player's game. I know that. So let's jump into our categories.
Man.
One word to describe Jamal Shead.
Tough. You brought up that is the easy superlative to describe him with. He gets tough buckets on the offensive end. He makes things tough for opponents on the defensive end. He's just a tough, hard-nosed player with his play style. There was all the quotes when the pre-draft process started about how other point guard prospects would find out that they were in like a team workout with Jamal Shead, and suddenly a lot of them had to reschedule and would do other things because the agents did not want their player going into a group with Jamal Shead. And that kind of toughness and fear you put into people just by having to go against you, I think says a lot.
100%. Yeah, he's a competitor, and he's a competitor nobody wants to see on an individual level. I said the same exact answer you did. I didn't overthink it. It's tough. I think that is the word anyone's going to come away with if you watch this kid or you see what he does. Is he more likely to hit his floor or his ceiling in the NBA?
I think his ceiling. Anybody with his work ethic, I think, is more likely to hit their ceiling. We also saw him kind of morph through different roles at Houston. Early on in his career, he was a rotation piece, but used his defense and some of his shot making to play a role, but he was okay doing what was asked of him. And then he gradually grew into being the All-American, the guy who could average 18, 20 points per game like he did down the stretch of the season while being your best defender. We saw him grow into that. I think his NBA career could be very much the same, where he's going to have to start as a rotation piece. And he finds a way to be productive, and just his toughness, his intensity earns him more and more minutes to the point where before we know it, he's a high impact guy in the NBA.
I said ceiling as well because I think he's a guy you drop in any locker room, you drop on any roster, and he instantly makes your franchise like more competitive in practice at minimum. He's a guy like GMs and coaches are going to want around for all of the things he does and the way he approaches the game. The only thing I would say is ceiling wise, I think it is a role player ceiling to me, and we'll get to that more later. But I look at other Houston guards recently that have hit the league. Quentin Grimes, like, good role player. I would say he hit his ceiling. I don't think there was necessarily a superstar for Quentin Grimes, superstar potential. Marcus Sasser in year one for Detroit, like, looks like a rotation piece long term. To me, you should kind of trust that Houston guards are going to at least be rotation pieces, even if they're not going to be superstars by the time they get to the league. What would the best team fit be for Jamal Shead?
I put the Bucks, and I don't know if he's going to make it to the early second round where the Bucks pick. He may end up being a late first round pick, but he's more likely to go second round. The Bucks are a team that I think this year really missed Drew Holiday's defense, and Shead's not going to come in and be Drew Holiday in the NBA right away. But I do think you are looking for some more defensive-minded backcourt players next to Damian Lillard. Again, not that Shead's going to slide right into the starting lineup next to Damian Lillard. But you're looking for defensive-minded guys who can come in and play a role, provide some offense for you, provide some shooting. Shead's not a knockdown shooter, but he's good enough, and he can make some stuff off the bounce. I think from a culture standpoint, it's a good fit. And I think from a developmental standpoint too, what the Bucks have done with some of their guys, I think that'd be a good place for him to be able to make it impacting.
Maybe learn from Pat Bev a little bit too. Maybe
in some aspects, yeah. Some aspects, maybe not all of them, but some of them.
It could work. I went with the Minnesota Timberwolves. I was trying to think of another team that's playoff ready that has like a vetty point guard who might be on his way out relatively soon that he could like learn under from for a little and then maybe take the job from. To me, like Mike Conley as a mentor would be spectacular for Jamal Shead. And then by the time Conley leaves, like maybe Shead earns a look as the starting point guard. You pair Jamal Shead with Anthony Edwards. I would love that. Like I think Edwards and all he can do would make it really easy for Jamal Shead to just kind of like space the floor around him and take on the best perimeter ball handler for the other team. So yeah, I would like that, but I completely agree with you. Milwaukee would be a great fit as well. Peak year stats for Jamal Shead. What do the numbers look like?
I'll just give you a look into what I think his career trajectory is going to be. I think it's going to be very similar to what he was at Houston, where he starts as a role player, and I kind of mentioned this, he grows and becoming a high impact guy. I think his peak year is like 15-6, where he's averaging like 15 points, 6 assists, and like 2 steals, 2.5 steals per game. Like I think he's going to come
Wow.
into a spot and be an impact guy at some point in his career. Maybe it's a lesser team like the Wizards or Hornets that they're like, maybe he'll be our starter for a while. Or maybe it's him getting a shot playing a 6-man role, but starter level minutes. I think that's in the cards for him. I don't see him failing in the NBA. Let's put it that way. I don't see him failing. I think he's got a chance to have a really, really good career.
Wow. Okay. I would love to see that happen. I'm lower on scoring. I have 9 points a game, 5 assists, 2 steals. I think he will 100% have a really good bench season. I just question how he's going to score at the NBA level because he's not a great shooter. I don't know that I buy he's ever going to be a great shooter. And to me, even this year where he was the best player on Houston, Houston was at their best when Jamal Shead was scoring like 10 points a game and LJ Cryer and Emmanuel Sharp were going off alongside him. So
Mm.
I think that's sort of whenever it works. I just don't think we see a world where he is like a featured scorer or needs to do that on a good team. In 5 years, where is he most likely to be? He could be all NBA, all star, starter, bench, G League, overseas, or podcaster.
I think he's a starter on a playoff team. I think he is your fifth offensive option, maybe your fourth option, depending on who else is there. But he's not going to be relied on to carry a scoring burden. It's going to be more of a defensive focused guy. But I have him as a starter.
I went bench, but I'm not surprised you went starter based on your other answers here, and I could see it. I won't be shocked. This kid is
Yeah.
that competitive, and he does enough defensively and creating for others that it could absolutely work. Okay, most likely to Jamal Shead out of every player in this draft class is the most likely player to what?
Have a Tim Tebow crying press conference. Remember when Florida, I think, lost Ole Miss or something, and he came out in press conference, he was like crying and he was promising it was never going to happen again, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Like he strikes me as somebody who does it after like an early round exit that is unexpected with his team, and he just, he's the fourth guy, fifth guy in the rotation who's just like this isn't happening again.
He
I see
cares
that.
so much. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So we both went like emotional competitor angle here. You went like sad emotional or happy tears. I went angry. I went Jamal Shead is most likely to get hurt punching a wall in frustration.
If you told me he pulled an Amari Stoudemire and like cut his hand punching a fire extinguisher, I would believe you.
Yeah, like every couple of years, there's like this guy got hurt doing this stupid thing because he was so mad. Jamal Shead, I could 100% see being that guy. He's just like heated in a practice, and bam, Brandon Dawson's a broken hand out of this. All right, hopefully you enjoyed this video. We got 74 more of these leading up to the NBA draft on the channel. Thank you for watching. The NBA draft is coming up, and I've got something awesome for you. We are partnering with the people at NBA 2K Lab. NBA 2K is the best video game on earth. The people at 2K Lab are making some awesome stuff to make that game even more fun, and they just launched their 2024 NBA Draft Simulator, where you can find the official Sleepers Media big board. We ranked our top 75 players in this draft class. Me, Carter, Brian Ralph, Riley Davis. We did it together, and it is featured on the 2K Lab NBA Draft Simulator. You can take control of any team in the draft, play GM with just one click, and see our entire rankings before these videos even come out. Check out the link in the description of this video to try out the draft sim for yourself, and you can find more mini games at nba2klab.com/nba-mini-games.